It usually begins on a small scale, a sigh the moment he enters the room. A certain look she gives when he asks where the ketchup is again, even though it's been in the very same place for the last 37 years. At first, you might mistake it for bitterness or boredom. But if you ask women over 60 why they're once, sparkling love stories now feel more like long-term roommates with mismatched socks. You'll hear one answer time and time again. And no, it's not because he forgot her birthday or gifted her a vacuum cleaner for Christmas, though those things don't help either. The truth is it's practical, not emotional, not romantic, not dramatic, practical, but that doesn't make it any less real. You see, when you're young and in love, you're building a life, a home, a family. You're far too busy juggling diapers, mortgages, and late-night emergencies involving the dog eating chocolate to notice the little things that wear thin. Your partner is your co-pilot. There's a sense of purpose. But once the kids are grown, your career is behind you, and the house finally goes quiet. That's when things change. Now you're left with a man who still does that weird thing with his toenails in the recliner, and thinks reheating coffee in the microwave counts as a culinary achievement. But the real reason women start to feel that slow, burning irritation toward their husbands, it's because in retirement and old age the division of labor shifts, but not always fairly. For decades, many women were the emotional project managers of the household. They remembered birthdays, booked doctor's appointments, bought gifts for the grandkids, scheduled the plumber, and somehow also made soup from scratch while listening to their sister complain about her third divorce. Men, bless them, often just existed alongside it all, helpful in bursts, certainly, but the mental load stayed on her plate. And now that both are technically retired, she notices something frustrating. He really meant it. He's retired from everything. Ask any older woman how many hours her husband spends sitting, watching TV, repeating headlines back to her like he's CNN. Can you believe this weather? He says for the fourth time that morning, and she wants to scream, "Yes, Harold, I can believe it, because we've been watching the same channel together for 2 hours. The difference is, she's not really retired. She's still managing the house, still making meals, still being asked where things are every 5 minutes, like she's Alexa in a bathrobe. And don't even get started on health. Many women over 60 end up not just as wives, but as caregivers. He forgets things, walks slower, needs help with tech. And while she's no sprightly gymnast herself, she finds herself Googling how to set up his blood pressure machine while also cooking dinner and ordering more of those special orthopedic socks he suddenly can't live without. It's not that she doesn't love him. It's just that she's tired, not sleepy tired. Tired of the imbalance, of having to explain what's in the fridge like it's a riddle from Asterisk, Lord of the Rings Asterisk, of listening to him snore on the couch after he said, "I'll help you in a minute." 2 hours ago, and here's the kicker. She starts thinking about how much more peace she might have if she were alone. Not lonely, alone. There's a difference, because many older women find they don't need constant companionship the way they once thought they did. They need space, they need quiet, they need someone who doesn't interrupt their mystery novel with a play of a football game they aren't even watching. It's not that she wants to leave. Most don't. They've built a life. There's history there, even love. But love has shifted. It used to be about attraction and longing. Now it's about patience and endurance. And that's a heavy ask when one person still carries most of the weight. And yet many women keep going. Not because they're martyrs, but because they're practical, too. Divorce at 70, please, the paperwork alone would kill them both. They know what they've got. They've learned to tune out the annoyances, the sniffling, the constant questions about what's for dinner, even when he just saw her pull out the chicken. And instead, they turn to their own joys, friends, books, grandkids, walks, gardening, silence. The blessed kind of silence where no one is asking them where the batteries are. Still, Deep down there's often a quiet wish, not for a new husband, but for the old one, the man she married. The one who noticed things, who helped with things, who listened. He's in there somewhere, probably under that blanket with the remote wedged in the cushions. Sometimes all it takes is a small moment. He refills her teacup. He remembers she likes the window open at night. He asks about her day, really asks, and for a second she remembers why she picked him. But then he farts in his sleep and blames the dog. And she goes back to wondering what life would be like in a quiet cottage by the sea. The irony is, men don't always see it coming. They often think things are fine because she's not yelling. She's not packing a suitcase. She's just quieter, less reactive, less inclined to explain herself. He assumes it's aging, or hormones, or women's stuff. But what he doesn't realize is that she's done explaining. She's in the acceptance phase. Only it's not the good kind. It's the kind where you've accepted that he's probably going to keep putting the forks in the wrong drawer until the end of time. At some point, she stops hoping he'll change and starts shifting her focus. The things she used to do for him, she now does in spite of him. The dinners are no longer made with love. They're made because otherwise he'll eat frozen fish sticks and complain about the sodium. The laundry gets done not because she cares if his shirts are folded, but because if she doesn't, the laundry room turns into a sock orphanage. She adapts, she finds her sanity in the details, an hour alone in the morning before he wakes up, a weekly lunch with her friends where they all sigh in unison over the same stories. They're not venting to be cruel, they're venting to survive, and the conversations are nearly identical. "Do you know what mine did yesterday?" one says. "He stood in front of the pantry and asked me if we had peanut butter. It was right there, eye level, label out." "Oh, honey," another chimes in. "Mine brought me a phone charger for my blood pressure machine, a charger." They laugh, not because it's funny, but because it has to be. If they didn't laugh, they'd cry or worse, grab a suitcase and head for the hills. What's tricky is that society rarely talks about this stage of marriage. We glamorize the early years, the falling in love, the wedding, the babies, the vacations. Then we kind of skip to growing old together. Like it's some romantic sunset, ride into peace and gratitude. But the truth is, growing old together can sometimes feel like being trapped in a slow moving elevator with someone who chews too loud and can't remember your cousin's name after 40 years. Still, she stays because there's loyalty, there's shared life, there's the mortgage, the memories, the grandchildren's birthdays, and the way he still squeezes her hand in church. There's love, yes, but it's seasoned love, the kind that's been burned, oversalted, reheated, and still gets served. And here's the thing, women don't want men to be perfect. They never did. What they want, especially in these later years, is for men to notice, to participate, to take initiative. Not because they're told, but because they see the load and decide to share it. Sometimes it's the smallest things, fixing that dripping faucet without being asked 6 times, learning to make her tea the way she likes it, taking over a chore not as a surprise but as a regular gesture of contribution, remembering her favorite song, asking how her book is going, noticing that she's been tired lately and saying, "You sit, I'll handle dinner tonight." Those small moments, they're gold, not because they're grand, but because they break the pattern. They remind her that she's not invisible, that her life, her efforts, and her presence are seen. But when those gestures disappear, when the emotional connection slips into autopilot, and all that's left is routine and repetition, that's when dislike creeps in. Not hatred, just quiet erosion like wind on stone. You don't notice it at first, but over time it shapes the landscape. And in all this, there's a sad misunderstanding. He thinks she's distant because she's aging. She thinks he's checked out because he no longer cares. Neither one says it out loud, and so they drift in polite silence, sharing space but not soul. But it doesn't have to be that way. Some couples make a powerful shift late in life, usually after a health scare or a big fight, or when one finally says the thing out loud that's been simmering for years, that they feel alone in age. Full house that they miss the partner they used to know, and when they say it, really say it, the room gets quiet. Not the quiet of resentment, but the quiet of realization. That maybe, just maybe, it's not too late to change. So the next time she sighs when he asks where the scissors are, and he's tempted to make a joke, maybe instead he just gets up, walks over to the drawer, and looks. Really looks, and if he still can't find them, he says thank you when she hands them over. Not just out of habit, but with recognition, with awareness, with that small thread of humility that says, I see you. I know you're still holding more than you should. Let me carry a bit of it. That's how dislike softens, not through grand declarations, but through tiny acts of attention. So if you've made it this far and found yourself chuckling, nodding, or mentally forwarding this to your best friend, then you know you're not alone. Whether you've been married 5 years or 50, it's never too late to make the recliner man sit up and listen. And if he doesn't, well, there's always peanut butter. Just don't tell him where it is. If this hit home and you want more stories like this with heart, humor, and the kind of truth that only comes with age, hit that subscribe button. And while you're at it, drop your city in the comments. We'd love to know where all the wise women are watching.